Hey everyone, this is Paul Gale from PaulGaleNetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is April 29th, 2021, and these are the top stories of the day. To kick things off, we got to talk a little bit about Xbox Series X and S and how well it's doing as a platform. It's been out for several months now. Microsoft just revealed their quarter financial report. They didn't specifically give any numbers of how many units of Xbox Series X and S have been shipped, have been sold to retailers out there. But overall, it's strong. They're happy with the progress that they've made for the brand. Game Pass is doing quite well as a service. Microsoft is bringing in good money, new subscriptions. But if you break down the numbers, and according to some reports, it looks like the Xbox Series brand of consoles, both X and S combined, are sitting somewhere around 5.5 to 5.9 million. If you wanted to be safe and call it 5.7, I think that would be, just about right in terms of how many Xbox Series S and X systems are out there. 5.7 doesn't sound too far off. Then again, that's just kind of my own speculation on the matter, looking at the numbers, listening to feedback from other analysts, and kind of coming up with, well, this is what I got from breaking down the financials in terms of money, revenue made, and whatnot, and what analysts are saying. So good job to Microsoft. That's healthy. That's good competition. And it's a little bit behind PlayStation, but certainly not this great disparity, And speaking of PlayStation, we actually just have that too for you today. PlayStation just announced that they have shipped, and this is a concrete number from Sony, 7.8 million PlayStation 5s in total as of March 31st, 2021. Now that is their number. That is 7.8. That 5.7 that I'm speculating is just that, kind of a safe assumption, an educated guess. So PlayStation 5, regardless, is ahead, but like I said, it's not ahead by double. It's not 2 to 1. It's not 4 to 1. We're not looking at a PS2 to Xbox scenario here. It's looking closer to how close Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 were to one another, but just flipped, because for most of their life, Xbox 360 was ahead of PlayStation 3 in terms of worldwide ranking, and then at the very end of the day, it's kind of hard to gauge which one topped off the other, but at least in the United States, Xbox 360 was the winner in terms of sales. But regardless, with PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, there was definitely this, pretty good split of like a 2 to 1, with PS4 being the winner. But this time around, we're looking at a healthier generation. We'll see if it continues this way. Xbox could pull ahead and could top out PlayStation 5, or PlayStation 5 could continue, spreading the gap. We'll see. But regardless, both platforms are doing well since launch. That's good. There's a semiconductor, shortage out there. PlayStation said that they're content with the 7.8 million. This is actually launch aligned more than what PlayStation 4 was as of March 31st, 2014. Remember, that system came out November of 2013, so launch aligned. The PS4 that did very well, that went on to selling over 110 million units worldwide. PS5 early indication is it's just as strong, and it's during this time of shortage and whatnot. So there are a lot of people out there that still have yet to get the PS5 they want. So I have a feeling that, safe to say, PS5 is probably going to be another 100 million selling console, plus or minus. How high could it go? We'll see. But very strong. And PlayStation also announced in their financial report that for their second fiscal year, which will be from April 1st, 2021, just a few weeks ago, until March 31st, 2022, that year, which is their second fiscal year for the PS5, they're expecting to sell a little more than 14.8 million, which is, once again, what the PS4 did in its respective time of April 1st, 2014 to March 31st, 2015. If you look at that and say, let's call it 15.2. that's a nice number. Why? Because if you go 15.2, you could basically call it a total of 23 million PlayStation 5s by March 31st, 2022, and that's a strong start. So from this point on, if we get 15.2 more, then that's a pretty good competition for the market. It wouldn't be enough, I don't think, to dethrone Nintendo Switch. I fully expect that Nintendo Switch between this April 1st and March 31st, 2022 to sell far more than 14.8 million. So it looks like Nintendo will still probably be market leader. It could lose a couple of months in the United States, especially as big games come out like Ratchet and Clank and whatnot. However, it really comes down to how many consoles can Sony pump out during this time. How many consoles can Microsoft pump out? Nintendo's also going to come into a shortage issue. Stock's going to become difficult for them as well to fulfill. The Nintendo Switch, after all, is still very hot despite being 4 years old. And with rumors of a Nintendo Switch Plus coming out this fall, you'd have to imagine that the regular Switch would be price dropped, Switch Lite would be price dropped, and then you'd have the premier unit, which is new and attractive and catching attention yet again in the industry. But if I had to guess, I'd say that by April 1st next year, you're going to have number one spot Nintendo Switch still, number 2 PS5, and number 3 Xbox Series X. However, all three look to be promising, successful, satisfying fans, and giving us a healthy generation, nice competition. But congratulations to Xbox on their results, and a big congratulations to PlayStation on doing as well as they have been in the last several months since their launch. And speaking of PS5, just a little bit of a reminder, today at 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're getting a State of Play. I have it right here. I'm ready. I'm stoked. It's a couple of hours away. I will either be doing a live reaction video to it, and it will be live streaming on YouTube, or it will be live reacted and then uploaded later. But either way, I welcome you to watch along with me. I'm excited. We know that we're going to get some Ratchet and Clank. Could we get a big surprise like seeing God of War Ragnarok for the first time? Could Insomniac say, by the way, here's a little tease for Spider-Man 2? I wouldn't be surprised if we got here's the PlayStation 5 version of Grand Theft Auto 5, the game that just keeps on selling. Not getting just a little patch to, bring it up to PS5 standards of quality from a, upgraded spec standpoint, but no, it's being remade, or at least not a full-on remake, but more than just, a little bit of an up-res and a little bit of a small texture work, bump up in frame rate and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I think that's kind of safe. See some Grand Theft Auto 5, perhaps a Witcher 3, a Cyberpunk 2077 if they're ready for that, how it's going to be taking advantage of those two games of PS5 hardware. Could we get any surprises? Like I always say, a bombshell of an announcement is going to be that Street Fighter 6 or a big game like that, a sequel in an established franchise that is either exclusive to PS5 or a timed exclusive, either of the two. Sony did say in their press conference that they're going to be pushing hard. They're putting a lot of money into PlayStation in the upcoming year when it comes to creating high-level AAA quality games themselves and establishing powerful relationships with third parties. I think Sony has to do that because if they're going to spend more time on fewer but more stellar games that can't fail, too much money, too much time, too many resources into these games that are just going to be blockbuster hits for them that are fewer and far between, they need to have third-party content. They need to have exclusive third-party content or timed exclusive third-party content because otherwise, Gamers want games every month, every couple of months. You don't want these giant lulls. If you were only playing PlayStation for the exclusives, you'd probably switch over and pick up a Nintendo Switch or an Xbox Series X, especially with Game Pass on the latter. So Sony's probably going to have some powerful moves this gen when it comes to third parties. So stay tuned. Let's watch State of Play. I'm excited. It could be too much hype right now, but regardless of how successful the event is, we're still getting new content, and gaming content is always fun. Regardless whether it's a lot, a little, mind-blowing, or just something small, it's still fun. And finally today, we've got our Famitsu Sales, courtesy of ResetEra.com. Thank you for having this forum up. Thank you, Chris1964, for putting this nicely together. I'm going to break down for you, as always, the software and hardware. It's Thursday. It's my favorite day of the week to talk about games because I always get a look at my financials, and specifically out of Japan. I wish United States had this type of tracking on a weekly basis from the NPD group or something. But anyways, let's hop in. At number one, as a PS4 game. You haven't seen that in a while at number one, right? Nintendo Switch has been dominating this chart for years. Nier Replicant came in at the number one spot, though, with 108,000 copies sold. At number two, Monster Hunter Rise dropped down a smidge at 86,000. Number three is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury with a very small drop from its previous week with 16,000 copies sold. Number four, Momotaro Dentetsu actually went up 11%. For 12,415 copies this week. Number 5, Ring Fit Adventure at 12,287, a bump of 37% from its previous week. This game just keeps selling. Nintendo, get on the ring cons, pump them out. People want to get fit. People want to work out. It's a fun game. Make that plastic happen. Number 6, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with 10,000, up 9%. From the previous week. Number 7, Minecraft Nintendo Switch version, 9,200, also up. Number 8, Animal Crossing New Horizons with 8,269 copies sold, also up. Number 9, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for Nintendo Switch, 6,770 copies, also up. And at number 10, Atelier Mysterious Trilogy Deluxe Pack for Nintendo Switch, making its debut at 6,022 copies sold. Overall, you're looking at 9 for Nintendo Switch, and 1 for PlayStation 4. No PS5 games yet, but PS5 is slowly selling in Japan, enough to a point where, if a game has a strong attach ratio, like let's say Resident Evil 4 comes out, and there's a strong attach ratio of console owners to people picking up the game, that might chart. Then again, it's also available on PS4, so, will it chart? Not necessarily. Moving into hardware, Nintendo Switch, what a beast of a week. Another just normal week, not attached to any big game or anything like that, and it still managed to sell 105,000 units for the week. Comparing it to last year and this respective week, it just did, 1,300 units less, which is fantastic. We're coming into Golden Week soon. This week right now that we're in, we've got Pokemon Snap to take into consideration. We've got that Monster Hunter Rise announcement of the update, free DLC. That's big stuff. And you're also looking at a pretty impressive 2.176 million for the year to date for Switch. That's beating last year's 2,015,000, and it's by a healthy amount. You're looking at a difference of 161,000, and I think Nintendo Switch is definitely looking like it's going to beat its 2020 self this year in 2021. And number 2, PS5, about neck and neck, just down a little bit from last week. This week doing 20,157 copies sold. You see what I mean? Year to date, you're looking at 403,000. Soon, within the next couple of months, maybe less, it's going to be at 500,000. That's not a lot, but if a game has a healthy attach rate, like even if a game does 10%, which would be pretty nice, you're looking at 50,000 copies of a game sold. Could we look at a game that finally charts the top 10 from PS5 like Resident Evil with 50,000 units? Or will people just buy the PS4 version and play it on their PS5? That's also a possibility. PS4 at number 3 with 818, 3DS at number 4 with 564, and a poor Xbox Series S and X in Japan with just 106. That's going to do it today for video game news. Stay tuned later, though, for the PlayStation State of Play. I'm excited. Let me know what you thought of today's content. We got Xbox talk, we got PlayStation talk, we got our Famitsu sales, and we have something to look forward to in the State of Play. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is PGN signing out. I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you later. Take it easy. Bye.